Hi, I'm Juanita and welcome back to the Knit Guru. Today we're going to do the Everything I Knit and Crochet in the Month of July video. I thought I was going to stand here and say I didn't do a lot, and then I realised as I was trying to compile everything, I actually did do a lot. I'm not even sure if I'm going to remember it all. So let's start with the things that I know that I don't have with me right now because they've already been given away, which is a bonus for the yarn stash, which means yarn go bye-byes. Juanita doesn't have to worry about storing it anymore. And I'll try and remember to put the pictures of them in here. The first thing, and there's a video tutorial for this, two things came up. Someone asked for a video tutorial and was asking for a lot of help with one of my patterns for the 1 hour beanie, so I made this tutorial. It also coincided with Gabe, who was working on building the house, needing a hat for his birthday. Well, he didn't need a hat for his birthday, but I felt like making him a hat for his birthday. So there's this 1 hour beanie. The link will be down below if you want to make your own. It does take about an hour if you know what you're doing. It takes a little bit longer if you're filming a tutorial or if you are just new to the process. There's now two versions of the 1 hour beanie pattern. There's this black and grey one, which is knit flat, or the original, which is knit in the round. So you've got two options, but the process is basically the same. It's just one involves purling back and forth on straight needles and the other one goes around in circles and doesn't require as much darning up at the end, but there's that. Then my sister said that her partner's eldest daughter wanted a beanie and could I make her a beanie, and I'm like, I can do that. And then she's like, you've only got a couple of days because she's leaving the country. And I was like, I can do that. And I said, what's she into? And she's like, grunge. So I started doing some research and into grunge hats, and the ones with the cat ears and the long tassels. And she said, not like that grunge, like grunge light. So then I made this grungy beanie, which is hopefully sitting up here somewhere and is now in Toowoomba of Australia, which is very cool. And there should be a tutorial video coming up for that beanie because I think I tried to film it along the way, and it is a really easy make. The other thing that's not with me right now, because I just left it up at the building site and you'll be able to hear the building process, is this. My high-vis vest. I love my high-vis vest. My high-vis vest does all the things. It says I'm over here. It reflects. It's bright. It says I belong on a building site. But it also says I would rather be crafting. I was going to be wearing it right at the second while doing some house painting, but fortunately I don't have to do any house painting yet. So I'm going to do some house painting after lunch. So there's the three things that aren't here right now. Then we've got the category of, let's go with stuffies, because why not? We'll start with Mr. Fox. You will have seen the video. Now, Mr. Fox was supposed to be a video of amigurumi, but the yarn went bouncing around the country and then didn't get here in time. So this is Zaddy Crafts, Crochet Me Zaddy, Zach Dorr, his pattern for his little fox buddy. I also took this pattern and I made it out of, this is his yarn as well. So this is the Zaddy Crafts really good chenille yarn in Charisma, in Simple, and I don't know the name of Mischief, I think is the black one. Oh, I've got an end that's popped out. I need to pop that back in. So this is the fox pattern. I'm very happy with the fox pattern. Oh, I've put you in the dirt, and now you've got dirt on your face, you silly wee boy. He's going to sit in the background of my videos. And I made another one out of blanket yarn and a slightly larger needle, which I'll try and remember to insert here, for my niece, because the last time I saw her, I didn't have a crochet plushie for her. This time, I figured I should go with a big one. So she's got a hunterway based on this pattern here, where basically I've just changed some colours along the way and put in an extra colour stripe so that it does look like one of our farm dogs, Ben, except Ben is a boy, and I didn't crochet in any boy bits, but it's all right. Everybody was like, Ben's balls are larger than that, so we all laughed hysterically. Good times. But she loved the dog, so that's a good thing. So there was that. And then, what was next? It has turned out to be quite a bit. Then we've got a knitted Labubu, because you would have seen last month last month, month before last, at some point, I crocheted a Labubu. And then at some point, how many Labubu things have I done? Quite a few. I don't know how many of them have. I'll try and remember to post everything. So I crocheted a Labubu based on a crochet pattern that came out massive. And then I made this Labubu, and this is a knitting pattern, and this, someone's posted it on Facebook, but I can't follow the link. So if anyone's found the link on Facebook and wants to pop it down below for me so that I can go on and leave a little note for everybody to say thank you for popping along. This has started to pop off on my website because it's just a free pattern on my website. I think there's a small charge if you want it on Ribbler, because it takes a long time to set it up on Ribbler for me. But there's my knitted Labubu. I knit it with a really thin velvet yarn, so it is really lovely to touch. It is nice and soft. Now, it should be noted, I do have a Labubu. I have two Labubu now. My Labubu collection is growing. This is the year of Labubu. So this one's still smaller than the other one, but what I'm working on next is a slightly larger one. I did want a smaller one so that it didn't take up so much space when dangling on my bag. We will get to bags, but we may as well jump to this one here, and we'll do cardigans as our next section, because what do we have here? We have got this Labubu crochet knitted cable cardigan for Lychee Berry here. Why? Because I looked at her and I realized that I wanted to make her a cardie, so I made her a cardie. It's not like I had other things to do. I had plenty of other things I could be doing and should be doing, but instead, Labubu cardie. There is going to be a video on the Labubu cardigan, and there'll be a pattern for the Labubu cardigan at some point, but I think this video will go up first, because this video will go up on Friday. Yeah, this is not going to... The cardigan pattern will come out during August, I think. Yeah, no, it should come out during August. Yeah, so there's that. Then... do I jump to things that are finished, or things that are part finished, or things that are not finished, or, yeah, who knows? Maybe we'll just jump over to here. This is finished. This is where I said I was going to, it's my Daiso Can I Crochet a Handbag challenge, for lack of a better description, that I gave myself because I found these handles in Daiso, and I wanted to make a handbag, because I don't really use a handbag, but I've been using this chronically as a handbag. This handbag is fantastic. I will write up the instructions, but unless you've got the handles, you'll have to make your own handles, but it's basically just a square. It's not even really a pattern. This is just an alternating row of single crochet, half double, single, half double, single, half double, single, half double, with a striped yarn. There's a square base. There's a bit in the middle just to give it a bit of stability. There's handles sewn on, and then I hang my knitted Labubu on my handbag because I think I'm hilarious. I'm hilarious. Put my handbag down, which leads to these. I've been making these, also something chronic. These are little drawstring pouches. I use these to put my earpods in, and little tiny chocolate bars. Not for me, just because when I made one for my niece, I put a little tiny chocolate bar in there. And I've put a little... Is that a lobster claw clip on there? And that clips onto my bag. And then I made a little tiny blueberry. I don't know whether or not I've got a pattern. I should write up a pattern for the blueberry, because people keep asking for patterns for the most random things that I make. And sometimes I think I just freeballed it, but there's a little blueberry. Why did I make a blueberry? Because I only bought blue yarn and I decided I was going to use it all up. And I did. I did manage to use up almost everything. There's a tiny scrap of this blue left, so I think I might whip up one more of these, because Dad did make me 27 circles. I asked for like 6. He's made me 27, but I do now have a plan, and at some point I will reveal what that plan is, but I made that. It hangs on the outside of my handbag, which led to this one, which you will see as a video, which is completely unhinged. Like, nobody is going to need or want or be even vaguely interested in this bag. However, it's got a wooden base, it's got wooden sides, it's got a zip at the top, it's got a dangly bit, all because my dad's got a laser cutter and a 3D printer. Bag zips open, and then it sits flat, and there's a big area and it collapses in because the crochet actually makes it sit in quite nicely. So I'm really happy with how that turned out. And that will mean that one of the young lads who's been working on our house will be able to put his Warhammer things inside a Warhammer bag rather than carrying them in a makeup pouch. So there's that. Then, what else have we done? I completed this sock. I do like how the sock has turned out. This is the Hobie yarn, and this is the pattern Mars. Mayflower orange, I think. Either way, it's beautiful. I sat and I finished knitting it. It's been on the needles for I don't know how long, but I finished knitting this one sock. I do need to knit the other one sock. And then what my plan is that I've got lots of ends of 4-ply yarn, of sock yarn. And so what I'm thinking is if I get the ball of, I ordered some yarn a while back, some grey, some blue, some pink, and orange to do one of the Tom Daley odd sock patterns. I know I'm not going to need all of it for that, but while I was doing the ordering, one of the ones I ordered offline, when it arrived, turned out to be the wrong tone of grey, so I ordered a different grey. So I've got a spare ball of grey. I could make my partner some 4-ply socks. He does like 4-ply socks. They do last very long, and they look beautiful. However, he's got size 12 man feet. So what I was thinking is if I take all my 4-ply scraps and I double strand them with the grey yarn, which is basically a neutral, or it's as neutral as I'm going to get, all of the scraps, they're going to be scrappy socks, but they'll kind of still go together. And I'll be able to use up my yarn ends. It's my thought. I haven't started it, but that's my mental process of where I'm at. I have finished this one sock, so that does mean that shortly I can cast on sock 2 and work towards finishing that. It does lead to the plan where I do need to do some socks knitting 2 at a time. I have a pair of grey socks on the needles that I need to take off the needles because I need those needles to do them 2 at a time for my rainbow socks. I wonder if that's the same shade of grey that I'm thinking for this. The problem is that I've done the band. So I'm now sitting, do I just power through that sock project? Or do I just undo it and go with my scrappy sock project? It's complicated. So there's that. Then I have finished this. This is the largest project I have finished this month. This is what I thought was going to be the world's fastest project. Go and do the workshop, walk out with a blanket. It's not exactly how it was phrased, but it was definitely implied that you could go to the 4 hours of workshop and walk out with a blanket. It turns out I would be able to do that if I didn't sit there talking. But I sat there talking and eating and talking and doing some more eating, and I still haven't done it in the end. But this is my big blanket from Giant. It's a giant knitted blanket using roving yarn. It's a whole fleece. It's a kilo of wool. It's beautiful. My concerns going into it was that it wasn't going to be very hard wearing, but the woman who was running it actually sat there and undid one of her blankets to show us the process and then re-knit it. And basically, you can keep doing that. So her process is to knit, re-knit, knit, re-knit, knit, re-knit, until you're happy with it. My process is keep all the prototypes, because I have boxes of prototypes and drawers of prototypes and all sorts of projects. And then the way that you're done in the ends is basically you just follow the yarn around, drag it through, pop it through, and there, I've done an end. Like, it's not a hard process. There were people in the workshop who had never done knitting before, and there were people like me who had done heaps of knitting, and we were all working along at a similar pace. I, of course, did go off book and changed up the pattern, so I'll write up my pattern if anyone's interested, but this video will be out really soon. I'm not sure in what order any of my extra videos are, because it's not often that I'm doing an end of the month video with this many projects that aren't released yet. But today's one of those days. So giant knitting, I finished that. The day after giant knitting, I went to cross stitch a bookmark, because my sister used to be massively into cross stitch, and she did a lot of it. So she's nearly finished hers, or nearly finished it on the day, to be honest. I'd never really done cross stitch before. I'd done a little bit, but not a lot. I'm this far through my bookmark. Of course, the pattern that came with the project looks like this, and as you'll be able to tell, I've already gone off book and made it more orange and changed the colours around. So, you know, we're already off book. This is from Just Love Stitch, cross stitch. I got it from a place called Lily & Co in Greytown. It was Mrs. Blackwell's bookshop that was running the workshop as part of the Christmas festival, and it was fun. We sat in a room, we ate snacks and drank tea and did cross stitch, and I've been surprising myself with enjoying just sitting down for 5 minutes, threading up some of the crochet string, thread, embroidery floss, whatever you want to call it, and working on my cross stitch flower. I'm not done yet. I'll get there. Every now and again I just pick up a colour and work on it for a bit, so I might put in some updates, but that was on the day after, and I associate it with that one. There's some more talk about this in the video about the giant knitting. So there's that. Then, what else is there? We are dying. I have been really sick this month. Then we've got this project. Now this one is finished but not finished, if that makes sense. Oh, drop in those bits. I thought I had them somewhere else. I clearly didn't. They're going to drop out. There's a bit of extra yarn string. There are no ends darned in on this yet. Mentally, I thought I had darned in these ends. No, I haven't. What I have done is I have finished knitting this blue cardigan. So it's a blue cardigan. This yarn is Tweed Dreams from Hobie. It's an acrylic yarn, and this is my strawberry cardigan. It's called the strawberry cardigan because when I first saw the ad for Hobie, and I think this was my first purchase from Hobie, was this yarn. I saw it in yellow. It had like red and green and blue flecks in it, and I thought, oh, reminds me of a strawberry patch. But at that point in my life, I was trying to be conservative, I guess. I don't know. I think it's probably more that my ex-husband didn't like things that were too out there, and I'm a bit too out there, which is definitely why he is an ex-husband. So that cardigan is done. That is the hardest part done. Now I've been working on making these patches, but I've made about 4 or 5, or maybe 3 according to what I'm holding in my hands. I wonder if I've dropped some on the ground. Tiny strawberries in various sizes, and I'm going to stitch them on the bottom. This is also the Tweed Dreams in red, and I've got some Tweed Dreams in green to do the bits at the top. So this will be my strawberry cardie. What I just need to do is to sit down and knit a whole stack of these, and then it will be done. I also need to order some buttons, and I would like them to be strawberry buttons. I do have strawberry buttons somewhere for the pink cardigan I made, but they're pale pink strawberries, and I would like these to be red strawberries. So this one is nearly finished, and let's go out on a limb and say I'm going to finish this in August so that I can wear this on my birthday. If I say it and manifest it, it's got a better chance of happening. I do have leftover Tweed Dreams yarn. I did need to buy extra yarn in my last Hobie order, which I knew I needed to buy extra, but I didn't know how much I needed to buy extra. I wasn't far enough along in the project to really work it out. I think I bought 4 balls, and I think I needed 2. So maybe there'll be a matching hat. Maybe it'll just be that this yarn goes into the stash, and at some point I'll use it for something. Or I have been thinking, I wear this crochet granny hexagon cardigan so often, like I wear this thing to death. I assume that the reason why I pick it up and wear it is that it's just easy to throw on, because it is easy to throw on, and because it's made of cheap yarn and it's acrylic, it doesn't take much effort to wash or dry, and if it gets ruined, it doesn't matter because it was a cheap yarn. I'm not being precious about it, but I should do that with more of my knit projects, is just wear them. There we go, bumping the tripod yet again. And then we'll do this update. Oh, dropping the yarn. Oh, this project, which is my nightmare. This is the Hobie Easy Summer Cardigan, which I will make this counter argument, Hobie. This is not easy. No, I think I would much rather be making this cardigan in a double knit yarn rather than two stranding the 4-ply. Like, I would rather use the 4-ply as 4-ply. I'm not a fan of double stranding. Anyway, so the first week was this bit here. I was almost up to date in week 1, but I was concerned about how you join the stitches on for week 2, and the community was useful with doing that. Then, what's that? Oh, that's a factory knot. I've got this basket weave pattern going. Soon it will start expanding out for the arms. I'm just not inspired to work on it, because I know that I'm going to be coming back and picking up these provisional cast-on and cast-offs of this here. I'm going to be picking up around the sleeves. I don't like holding the whole thing all at once. I like my cardigans to be structured. I had assumed when I signed up for this that it was going to be easy summer and cardigan. It's just taking forever. I like the colour. I like the cables. I don't mind the basket weave, but again, I'm between sizes, so I don't know how much ease there is in this. I'm just at a mental block with it, really. I need to just sit down and crank it out a little bit further, because if I crank it out a little bit further, the back will be done. And then the back, when the back's done, I think it then comes over the top, the shoulders. It starts to look more like a cardigan. It's a V-neck. I like a V-neck. And then there's sleeves. And with the sleeves, I think that this starting cable runs down the sleeves. So if you imagine that I'm facing away from you and this is my back, I think that's where the cables sit, and then they go down the sleeves. So again, I don't know if I'm on the right size or if I'm on the wrong size, or whether or not it's so stretchy that it's just going to look too big anyway. But that's where we're up to on the Easy Summer Cardigan. And there's so much yarn. And there's so much yarn because it's all in this 4-ply. It's a 4-ply sock yarn. It's an advantage, so that if I do abandon this, I can at least make a lot of magenta coloured socks. So, this is quite a lot. I can tell just by the length of the video. This is quite a lot of knitting and crochet for the month of July. But I did have 2 weeks of school holidays off to work with. And now we're in August, and August is really busy. And then just last weekend, we had the One Act Play competition, and we had 4 plays selected to go through the North Island Champs. Because of that, we're now still rehearsing 4 plays, with the hope of getting one to the national finals, which would be great. One of them is my play, so I am very happy about that, but it does need a lot of work. So how much time am I going to have? And what am I going to work on? I don't know how much time. I don't know what I'm going to work on. I no longer have a stockpile of edited video projects in the bank that I can just slap up if I fall behind. We are still building, and it is now at the point where I can be more hands-on, which is great because I want to be hands-on with the house. But at the same time, even just feeding everybody has meant that I've fallen behind on gardening, and now I've got a whole house to paint, and then there'll be a hole inside of the house to paint. But that's exciting stuff. We'll do an update on the construction project at some point. You would have noticed there's been some shorts along the way. So the plan will be I will get into the summer cardigan again. I will be making some more of these for a project, and I will be wanting to finish my cross stitch. And have I got anything else that I wanted to get done, or just Oh, I do have another knitted Labubu project that I want to get started on. And I do want to knit Bo Miles, who's also one of my favourite YouTubers. A lot of my favourite YouTubers seem to come from Australia. 4 of my favourite YouTubers come from Australia. Complicated Knots, Rosary Apparel, Bo Miles, Ash Bentley. So I might have a problem with Australians. I quite like Australians, it turns out. Or at least I like Australians who make YouTube content that's slightly unhinged. Right, so what to do now? I need to go and get working on things. And I need to edit things. And I need to paint a house. So in the meantime, I will see you next week, and we will pick up this Everything I Knit and Crochet in the month of August, at the end of August. So if you are interested, YouTube thinks you'll like this random video up here. This playlist here is my playlist of everything I knit and crochet in the month of. Now this playlist goes all the way back to about 2021. Does it go back to 2020? No, I think it goes back to 2021. Either way, this playlist does go back quite a long way if you're interested in seeing where I've come from and seeing where I'm going. And then up there you can click subscribe and you can follow along, and that'll be great. I will catch you next week. Bye.